All right, guys. So, like I said, as I promised, I'm here with my good friend Matt.
Hey everybody, pleasure to be back. Excited to talk about more Godzilla in comics. Tyler, can you believe the plethora of Godzilla comics content we're going to be getting? It's the summer of Godzilla comics coming up.
Yeah, I'm genuinely shocked. IDW is moving forward with their universe. DC and Marvel are going to go fight the big G. It's a big year.
It's huge. It's huge. I know you said in an earlier video we're getting the Justice League going to the MonsterVerse. We're getting monster versions of Suicide Squad characters at least. These series of one-shots with Marvel will be leaping into a Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe 5-issue series. And I know like they're kind of pushed off to the wayside with the big two doing the crossovers, but I'm kind of pumped for what IDW has been talking about with their new series as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do with their universe, even though I'm still like iffy on Tim Seeley.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But the initial pitch of what they put out there for their series, I like.
Yeah. Now I will say with this comic, I'm very like Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. Were you surprised as much as I was that they were going to continue this year with this storyline?
I was shocked. When you first sent me the article, I thought it was just like another piece of art for the ongoing series that we had. And it took me a second to realize that it's a full event and it's picking up, like you said earlier in your other video, a month after the one-shots wrap up. So to me, that says a couple things, that the Godzilla crossovers, whether it be Power Rangers or the IDW Public Domain one or the Justice League or what Marvel's currently doing, are selling like bangers, obviously, since they keep pushing it.
Yeah, I saw the sales for Justice League versus, Godzilla versus Fantastic Four. Holy shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, consider really one issue in terms of sales. I know there's probably pre-orders for the other ones, but yeah, it's doing really, really well. So I think Marvel and Toho both made the smart decision of like, people want this, let's keep pushing it. Let's make it a full-on event, which I couldn't be more excited for. And I have some ideas about some of the things that they put out there in terms of what the story will look like.
Yeah. Now, the big thing is like, again, they the fact that they didn't wait until next year, because you would think that would be the case, right?
Yes, yeah, you'd think that wait for it to kind of get through this and then see. The fact that they jumped on it so early, I assume they were probably planning it before they released the one-shots, right? I mean, they couldn't have just seen the sales for Fantastic Four #1 and decided to jump into it right away like this, especially given, like, considering how long it took to get the Ultraman crossover out, right?
Yeah, that kind of says a lot about Toho working with Marvel, as opposed to, like, Tsuburaya. Why did I say Toei? Tsuburaya working with Marvel.
Yeah, it says that they must have a much better relationship, and that Toho is... I'm shocked. I mean, I'm old enough to remember, I know I said in like the other videos we did before, when Toho kept Godzilla under lock and key, like in the 90s, you know, and they wouldn't like license him out for anything. The fact that they're so willing to do so much with him now is so refreshing as a fan.
Absolutely. And I definitely think that the universe itself is, I mean, the Marvel universe is to have Godzilla back is really cool. And you have to really think that they're probably, if this sells well, which I imagine it will, do you think they'll continue with like something else, like make it a trilogy?
Oh, that's a really interesting story. Idea. I think probably. I mean, money talks. The only thing that kind of shocks me, and I know again you alluded to this in your previous video, is that Toho is just completely circumventing IDW with this. I guess that their contract must allow them to. Like the DC crossover, I kind of got because that's specifically the MonsterVerse version, which is owned by Legendary, which works in partnership with WB. Hence the DC connection, and it's like that specific version. But for Toho, just to circumvent IDW, who does have the license for at least doing their own Godzilla comics, not to be a part of this is interesting. But I guess there's nothing IDW can do about it or wants to challenge at this point either.
I don't think that's the case, and plus, like, at least they have their own universe, and maybe this will give them leeway to do when they do maybe they'll like this will allow them to do in-house like IDW crossovers like TMNT Godzilla, or maybe to do something else with the Godzilla property while they're doing with Marvel, or maybe they have to wait on crossovers till this is done. Maybe that's one of the orders from Toho. Here's the thing: I don't know how this company works.
No, I don't think they do either. But anyway, I'm going to say probably yes, based on the sales, that we might see some kind of a trilogy out of this. And they've certainly laid enough hints in what the one issue we did get of the one shot so far, and the kind of blurb we got for the upcoming crossover, that they have bigger plans in mind.
Yeah, and I think Jerry Duggan is probably the best pick for this. I think he has a great handling of the Marvel Universe. He's done events before. He's also great with ensemble, especially with teams. He's really good on team books. And since this is going to be an ensemble cast, it's very clear. And I think we'll get a better understanding of how he writes Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Hulk.
Yeah, I think so. So that comes out next Wednesday. So I will be up to review that if you want to. Like the day it comes out, I can't wait.
Yeah. I definitely think that this was like a shock to everyone because like it kind of proves that, again, like you said, Toho is willing to be, buddy with Marvel, and I don't know how much they talk to Disney about that.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's very interesting. I would assume Marvel's going to get Disney's okay in some part, right, to do this stuff, to do kind of anything.
They would have to. I mean, like maybe this is a trade-off. Like they get to use Godzilla, and then Disney could have a little more say in Disney Sea.
Yeah, I guess so.
I know that someone's going to go on. Some jackass on here is going to go, oh, but actually Disney Sea is owned by the Oriental Company, not Toho. I know, it's a joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that everything we've heard sounds really cool, and I cannot wait to see what this storyline is going to be in store, because it's not in continuity. And like I said in my video, this doesn't seem in continuity, and on top of that, calling it Godzilla versus, Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe, you think we'll actually get some character deaths?
I think so. I think especially because in the first Justice League crossover, it wasn't canon, and we got some. Like, Atom Smasher was straight up killed by Godzilla, and then Guy Gardner was crushed to a literal bloody pulp in that comic. So and people seem to like the fact that it was a little more dangerous for the characters because it could be off since it's not in canon. So I think we could see some in this series, yes.
Yeah, I think that that could happen again. It's like it's a clear reference to Punisher kills the Marvel Universe.
Right.
So I think it is on the table that we could see some characters die. And it also gives us like more characters Godzilla's not fighting in this current Versus run, and we might see some more interesting fights. Like we're going to see Godzilla fight Doctor Strange, we're going to see Godzilla fight Scarlet Witch, and Black Panther.
Yes, very cool. And I'm going to throw two more characters I think that are going to pop up in this crossover at you. Tell me what you think. So one I think less likely, but still a decent chance. The last time not the last time, but I'll say previously, even this would be canon, when Kaiju attacked New York in the King in Black series, S.H.I.E.L.D. dispensed American Kaiju to go fight them. I think there's a decent chance that if Godzilla's attacking New York, S.H.I.E.L.D. might dispense American Kaiju to fight off Godzilla, which might be kind of interesting to see, like the clear Godzilla, I'll call it a homage, taking on the actual Godzilla. What do you think about that one?
I think that is possible that we will get American Kaiju. I think that would be kind of dumb not to have him. Who's the other character?
So the other character, they specifically mention Godzilla's connection to vibranium in Wakanda, right?
Right.
So I think what you might be seeing, and I liked your idea about Mechagodzilla being built out of vibranium, but I think it could be another character who's an old foe/friend of Godzilla. What about the return of a vibranium-constructed Red Ronin?
I think that'd be cool. But the thing is like, why would an African nation build a Japanese robot?
Well, I think they might do it in conjunction with others.
Oh, okay. Like Okay, now I see what you're saying. Like someone suggested have that with like Red Ronin built by Iron Man.
I think you can see that for sure too. We've seen, I think Earth X did that, where Iron Man like bought the old Red Ronin and built on top of him. But I feel very confident we'll see Red Ronin in some version of this series, right? Why would we not? He's probably the most well-known character from the original Marvel run of Godzilla, aside from Godzilla himself. Like original characters come from that series.
Absolutely, I think that's a strong case to make that he's going to show up in some capacity or new form, or even like he comes back. Like it's like, oh, Red Ronin's back. I'm also wondering about. And again, I talked about this in my video. Is like, do you think they're going to build on Godzilla versus Galactus like they hinted at in Godzilla versus FF?
So they did strongly hint at that. I think that they will. I don't know, based on the description we got for this upcoming series, that it'll be this one, because it certainly looks like Dormammu will be the big bad for this series.
Yeah, and Godzilla fighting Dormammu alone sounds awesome.
Yeah. I'm actually picturing something where like Doctor Strange has to give his cloak and the Eye of Agamotto to Godzilla, so we get like Godzilla Sorcerer Supreme. Like, I don't know, crazier things have happened. We got Green Lantern Kong and the Justice League one, right? So,
I mean, that's the thing. Like you get like once you see once you've seen Kong Lantern, that toy companies are going to be like, we can do that.
Yes. So I don't know if that'll be it specifically, but I can say it. But I think for this one, Dormammu's the big bad. However, Galactus could be the big bad for that potential third part that I agree with you. I think is probably already in the back of their heads.
Yeah. Because I was like, that's a through line that you wouldn't just throw out.
Right. I agree with that, especially considering kind of the build-up they gave to it. I think that that's a definite possibility for a future event. But for this one, I think Dormammu, which is cool. I mean, there's a ton of demons and monsters and such in Dormammu's Dark Dimension, aside from Dormammu himself. That would be just really cool to see Godzilla take on.
Yeah. Now, let me say this. What about Godzilla fighting Ghost Rider and gets penance stared?
I could see that happening. I don't know that it would do anything, because isn't Ghost Rider's penance stare kind of based on, like, having guilt somewhat? Like, I don't think Godzilla would feel guilt over anything he does.
That's true. Yeah. I was just thinking, that'd be kind of cool, like, have a scene where Godzilla, basically you have a scene where Godzilla, essentially, and side note, I just suddenly got my light to work, so I have a little more light to work with. I'm sorry to everyone who was watching me in the dark for a hot minute. So professional on this channel. Like I was saying, I was just kind of thinking that'd be a great scene where like Godzilla just gets hit with all the people he's killed over the past few centuries.
It would be pretty cool, actually. Yeah. It's interesting to see though how Godzilla will be portrayed here. So does this in canon with the other one shots? I'm not sure that that's the case, because like the Thor one shot in particular, based on the artwork and the description, really seems to be using the GMK Godzilla, which doesn't seem to be the one that appeared at least in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and they did, and it like I think it could like I don't know. I'm starting to think like, is it like they're all in can like this is going to be in can diverses, or it's going to be its own story, because it feels like it's two different things.
Right now, it does feel like it's two different things. I would agree with that, which could make it different. I would say if it's two different things, it increases the chance maybe of Mechagodzilla appearing, because we know Mechagodzilla's in the Hulk crossover.
Yeah.
So I guess it could bring him back again in the versus one, but right now it seems like it's two different things. Although they do mention that Godzilla lied dormant, so part of me was wondering if, even though not canon to main Marvel, if in this universe we're in, the 70s Godzilla series might have still taken place.
That I didn't think about. I think that would be kind of awesome if the case is it was Marvel Godzilla the whole time, and he's just been hiding this whole time.
Right. So I think that might be an interesting way. I don't know that they're going to go that way, but the fact that they're specifically saying he was lying dormant for a while, and it seems like based on the description, they kind of knew he was out there, not that he just kind of popped up, like in 54 movie or something like that. So it'd be interesting if they reference the original '70s run with Godzilla in this. I don't know if they will, but I think it'd be cool if they did.
Yeah, that could be the case. But now that you say that, I think that could actually happen if this was just the Marvel version Godzilla this whole time. I'm thinking like that'd be kind of awesome if it was, because you have to think after they released that omnibus, and top of that, making as bad as his art was, that John Romita Jr. Godzilla was trying to be either King Kong versus Godzilla or Marvel Godzilla. Romita Jr. couldn't pick a lane. That's the problem.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the series goes. I know it's different artists for each one, so that'll be interesting. The image they released for Godzilla Destroys, I thought might have most resembled the -1 Godzilla, though.
Yeah, that is true. I kind of prefer that if this is Godzilla, I don't care. I don't really want it to be like a model off of Godzilla. I want it to be its own Godzilla, you know?
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. So what other characters do you want to see in this storyline, like, face off with Godzilla?
See, that's a tough question because we're only one into the Versus series, so I'm not sure exactly who we'll be getting in the Versus series not getting that I could see in the future one. But ones I'll say that like we haven't seen in the Versus series for sure that they're in it. One would be Giant Man / Ant-Man for me. I think that would be cool. A la like Atom Smasher taking on Godzilla in the Justice League 1 is what I'd really like to see. Scarlet Witch, like was mentioned, I think would be a really cool one to see take him on. Looking at maybe something else from Moon Knight, because I like the cover of him fighting Khonshu, Godzilla fighting Khonshu. Like if that was to actually happen, would be pretty cool. And I don't think Moon Knight's been seen so far. Other than that, man, some came to mind and have to have some changes to characters. For instance, it is in New York. It'd be cool if Devil Dinosaur popped back up. He needed to be hit with some pin particles or something to re-engage Godzilla. So I don't know if they're going to stretch it that far, but it'd be a nice nod against the '70s series when Godzilla was shrunk down and sent back in time to fight Devil Dinosaur. It's actually the comic that canonized Devil Dinosaur as being part of the Marvel Universe, because before that he hadn't interacted with anybody from the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, like, I think it'd be kind of fun, like, if Hercules, Iceman, Angel, and Ghost Rider and Black Widow all teamed up to fight Godzilla for a scene, like, to call back to when Godzilla fought the champions.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be really cool, actually. I could see that being at least a panel, you know, if they were getting, like, a big mashup with them fighting, that would be really cool. Any other ones? I hate to double up on this, but it immediately came to mind would be, I know we got Godzilla attacking DC's Atlantis. It would be cool, though, to see him attack Marvel's Atlantis as well, because Namor has his own bestiary of monsters to send out. And in particular, he's got his version of Giganto. You know, there's two in Marvel, with the Mole Man and Namor. But Namor's Giganto is a literal Gojira. It's like a gorilla whale. So in terms of like fan perspective, I think that would be fun to see as well.
Oh, absolutely. I love that idea. I also think it would be cool to see Godzilla go to the Marvel Monster Island.
That would blow my mind. I didn't even want to bring it up because, for whatever reason, Marvel seems to really kind of push their amazing kaiju to the side, like in the 50s and stuff. We got sort of like the, what was it? The Monsters Assault a few years ago, like about 10 years ago.
Monsters Unleashed.
That was pretty cool. And I'm at least thankful we're getting Fin Fang Foom in the Avengers crossover, because that's like the one I really wanted to see. But it would be great if he appeared on Monster Island. They did indicate in the blurb that villains will be a part of this. So the Mole Man would definitely have interest in Godzilla, right? Because he likes to collect monsters, sort of, or have them on his island to control, right?
Yeah.
And you could see then the Mole Man's version of Giganto take on Godzilla, or any of the other monsters on Monster Island would be really cool.
Absolutely. I think it would be kind of cool to see like Godzilla fight Groot, like a giant-sized Groot.
Groot would be a great one. We could see a giant-sized Man-Thing, perhaps. Would be really cool to see. maybe, gosh, which other characters? Doctor Strange, what I really want to see, because there's not a Doctor Strange one shot, and I do think that will be cool, because Doctor Strange has taken on plenty of giant monsters and demons in his time as well.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought for a second, but no, I think that I would really like to see that, and also see like Doctor Strange like conjure or summon demons or something to fight him. I think also maybe see Godzilla fight the Inhumans, like fighting Black Bolt, and Black Bolt just shouts and Godzilla just holds his ground.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm sure we're getting a lot of scenes like that, obviously, to show off Godzilla's strength and power.
What about the Sentry?
Sentry would be kind of cool. And also, he also obviously runs the same problem, like what I mentioned about Godzilla attacking the Marvel Atlantis, in that the Sentry is clearly a Superman stand-in. I think it could work better with Namor, because Namor actually predates Aquaman by a year, but they're both like looked at as pretty contemporary and have coming out at the same time and just filling the same role. Sentry is a cool character, but he's definitely a Superman analog, but like without the history of Superman. It would be cool though, because he is one of the more powerful characters in the Marvel universe. So if you need to stop a threat like that, it would make sense to bring in the Sentry.
Yeah, okay. I just kind of figure like we might see the Sentry regardless, because I was thinking he's going to be a Thunderbolt, so.
It's very, very possible. I didn't even think about him being Thunderbolt. Probably increases the chance of.
If I wasn't like, it could happen in Godzilla versus X-Men. Do you think we might get Godzilla fighting Apocalypse?
Could happen in Godzilla versus X-Men. I think what we might get in Godzilla versus X-Men, based on some of the artwork they released, is Krakoa.
Yeah. Even though, didn't they say it was supposed to be set in the 90s?
It looks like it could be, but like Krakoa was still out there, and there's like some odd artwork for some of the old covers have like an island that looks like it's alive.
Okay.
But it'd be cool to see. As far as other characters, Apocalypse would be pretty cool, because again, they did emphasize villains. I'm going to bet Doctor Doom figures into this, right?
Yeah. Without even saying, Doctor Doom has to be in here.
Yeah, he would be somebody I think is near the top of the list for the villains that we'll see. I think we're going to get the Venomized Godzilla and the Spider-Man crossover, especially with some of the new covers they released. So I don't know if we'll get Venom a ton in this, although it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's so hard to say without the rest of the series having happened yet, you know?
Yeah, it's just hard, but it's kind of exciting to see that, also, the fact that we're getting this storyline is going to be happening simultaneously while Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong is happening at the same time. It's almost like Marvel said, fuck you to them.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think it is a fuck you to DC, but at the same time, I think it's a great cash in on synergy. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Godzilla fans not going to buy both when they're at the comic shop.
Yeah, that is good synergy that, a Godzilla fan like me is going to go pick up both issues or get both in trade. And, again, it's just funny that, we're getting all of this, and people complain that we're getting too much Godzilla. Where were you for that 2004 to 2014 space?
Yeah, they weren't around. There was a time when we got nothing. So I will take it all. I will gladly take it all, especially when you're talking about the crossovers that we're getting. Like, it was hard to get Godzilla comics, let alone him in crossovers like this. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. Like you said, in terms of comics, right, after we go through Power Rangers and twice with the Justice League and the Marvel Universe twice, and hell, we even got the public domain one with IDW. In terms of comic characters, aside from TMNT, who else is there in U.S. comics that you'd be like, oh yeah, I want to see that character interact with Godzilla at this point? We're getting so much.
Yeah, it's really only Transformers left, right?
Yeah, I would say Transformers is the only one that springs to mind, right?
Yeah, unless Dynamite wanted to go crazy and do Powerpuff Girls versus Godzilla.
Yeah, they have to do something wacky like that, I would imagine. Because otherwise, I think you're looking. I know there's new Godzilla mangas coming out. Do you think this will, the manga universe will start to look at this?
I think that
crossovers?
I did think about that with the Godzilla mangas, where it could happen. Like, I think that's where we get the Godzilla Kaiju #8.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. You've mentioned Dragon Ball before. I don't know how feasible that is. The Kaiju #8 though has certainly been teased a lot.
Yeah. I also think that it would be cool to still get Godzilla versus Attack on Titan.
I agree with that. Now, the big question, I know we've brought it up before, but with another Marvel compilation, Ultraman, is it on the table amazingly to happen in U.S. comics before somewhere in Japan?
I would say that's more going to be a Japan thing than it is a U.S. thing.
Okay.
Because it's, like, I don't think they, like, neither Subaru or Toho, if they could do it themselves, they wouldn't need a third party.
True. So another team I'd like to see that would be great to see them go against Godzilla, although we haven't seen this iteration of them in a while. What about the comic Big Hero 6?
Comic Big Hero 6, I would really love to see. I think that would be so much fun to get them back. And that could also be how you get Red Ronin. Because he was a member of the Big Hero 6 for a time.
Yes. And you could get Fredzilla, like the actual Fredzilla, not just some dude in a tiny suit that turned into a kaiju. Would be really cool. Although, like, they've kind of buried them, since the Big Hero 6 movie came out, right?
Yeah, they've basically sundered them.
Yeah.
I do think, like, we could, like, Godzilla fighting a giant Ultron would be fun.
That could definitely happen. Again, I'm sure Ultraman. Iron Man can have like a mech. I don't know if we'll get that in the Avengers comic or not. Thor, with his whole mythology, has a ton of interesting things we can see that we don't see in his one shot.
Fenrir or Jormungandr. I think those are going to be in the one shot, though.
Yeah, I think so. The third dimension will most likely Dormammu could mean Surtur, which would be cool. But I think it's more than likely they would have said Muspelheim, I would think. So it's probably still Dormammu. But that's still really cool. So I mean, there's so many neat matchups that we can see. If we don't get him in the one shots, it still leaves a door open for later as well. Captain Marvel, for instance, I don't know if she's in the Avengers one or not, based on the covers I saw off the top of my head. But she would be interesting, with her power set. Like if Godzilla blasted her to reverse breath, could she absorb it and send it back at him, type of thing. Like there's a lot of neat stuff we can see. Yeah.
I also think that Godzilla fighting the Phoenix, that could be an X-Men. But again, if it's not there, it could be here.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing. It's hard to say exactly because we don't know what's going to happen in the rest of the one-shots that we have going forward. In order to say, like, we didn't get this matchup here, so I think we'll get it here. But it is nice to know that anything we don't see in this current one-shots, the door's definitely still open for later down the road because we have this Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe coming out.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, this didn't happen, but it might happen there. You know who I'm shocked is not here, like in that big promotional image?
No.
The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was a little surprised the Guardians aren't there. They might be a surprise because I do think Groot would be a fun character to put in there. And, for people who don't know, Groot actually goes way back to the old, like, Marvel monster comics, like the Where Monsters Dwell and stuff, where he was, like, city-wrecking proportions when he first appeared.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, hey, we get Groot here. But, like, that's the thing, like, Marvel, ever since the MCU movies have ended, the Guardians have been kind of pushed to the backseat.
Yeah, well, it's probably a little bit of politicking, too, because of the Guardians being heavily associated with James Gunn, and James Gunn now running DC.
Yeah, could be the case, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm surprised they, like, to be fair, like, they've had a title for so long after, like, a year, because remember, they were like a fringe team, and then they got, after their movie, they got big, and now they're being, in comic-wise, they're just kind of, like, in the backseat.
Yeah, but this would be a prime opportunity to bring him back, for sure.
Yeah.
What other mystical characters do you think we could see, knowing that the Dark Dimension plays into this? So Doctor Strange, I'd say decent chance for Ghost Rider, obviously.
Yeah, like I said, Ghost Rider would be cool. I think also...
Scarlet Witch, like you said.
I would say Maybe Baron Mordo.
Yeah, he's closely connected to Dormammu, right? So that would make sense.
Yeah, I'd also say like for a Captain America villain, real quick, Doughboy. He's just a giant.
That would be cool.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Doughboy is a creation from Arnim Zola, who is kind of like a creature made of synthetic flesh. And he sometimes is gigantic.
Yeah. How much do you think that the Marvel kaiju will be in this at all? It looks like we're gonna get a decent amount of them in the Hulk crossover.
They have to. They would have to be like, you got to have Godzilla at Marvel Monster Island. And then here's the other question: are we going to see any Toho monsters outside of Godzilla?
So that's interesting because we're definitely getting them in the one shots, right? We already know that like Mechagodzilla and Hedra, Kumongo and Mothra appear in the Hulk crossover at the very least.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would make sense to have them in a Godzilla Destroys, right?
And yeah, at least like having the fairies.
At the very least, yes. At the very least. I mean, you could see some other really interesting stuff. Like, I want you to picture this for a second, Tyler, because you know at least one of these Toho monsters is appearing in the DC crossover, but it could be this one too. Imagine the same month we get Rodan squaring off with both the Phoenix and Raven. Now, I think those two are overpowered compared to Rodan, but so that's how cool like the visuals would be to see like Phoenix in the full on fire form taking on like I guess the Toho version of Rodan or Raven and their like with their full outline going up to take on the MonsterVerse Rodan. Like both of those would be pin-ups for me right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that would be so cool. I would even like to see like, and maybe we'll get it in X-Men, Godzilla versus X-Men, of like the telepaths trying to reach into Godzilla's mind, and he just fucking kicks them out.
Dude, it just hit me. Is there a chance in either of these crossovers we get Professor X meeting Mickey Sagusa?
That would be so cool. Like, I didn't even think of that until you brought it up.
I didn't think it was even some telepath, but I long shot. I'll say long shot, but man, what a great opportunity that would be.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned Sarazawa at versus FF.
They did. I probably behind Sarazawa is Mickey the next most famous character from the Godzilla series in terms of humans.
Yeah.
Definitely in terms of popularity in the fan base, right? Like, everybody loves Mickey.
Yep.
Dude, Mickey Professor X, I gotta see it now. I've gotta see it now.
Or at the very least, her and Jean Grey.
Or her and Jean, right? Either one would be great. And you could see something. Okay, I'm really going down a rabbit hole here. Jean is taken out, and Mickey's infused with the Phoenix Force, maybe.
Yeah, that would be so dumb, but so awesome.
Is it right? It'd be like it's like Green Lantern Call. Like, this is ridiculous, but I love it.
Yeah.
All those kind of crazy things could happen. Those would be cool. I'll tell you what else I do think we can see, Tyler. Just came to mind. What if we talked about Wakanda using vibranium to build Mechagodzilla or maybe Red Ronin? What about the Gotengo?
That would be really cool. I think that'd be kind of awesome. Or like a Super X.
Or a Super X, yeah, something like that. A nice callback to the Godzilla non-mech transport.
Actually, I think what would be kind of cool is like if Tony and like Reed retrofitted an old Quinjet and made it a Super X, and it like connects like supercharged Mechagodzilla from the Heisei movie with the vibranium Mechagodzilla.
That would be a great callback. Something along those lines would be really cool.
Yeah. But as for like, kind of as for one, here's a fight I'd love to see. If we get Destroya in here and he fights Dormammu.
That would be really cool. Yes, Destroyer taking on Dormammu would be really cool.
Yeah. Just have the two representate, or him fighting Mephisto.
Also very cool. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one, Godzilla in Hell fighting Mephisto.
Actually, you know what makes a lot of sense to fight Dormammu alongside Godzilla? Mothra.
Yeah.
Like that, she's sort of a deity herself, protector of Earth. I could see if Dormammu was trying to enter our dimension, that Mothra has to go intervene. I could definitely see that being the case.
Yeah. I'd also love to see like Dormammu taking control of some of the evil kaiju and making like demonic versions of like Ghidorah, Gigan, and Megalon and such.
That would be great. Just don't get the artists from Godzilla vs. Power Rangers 2 to show us those versions.
Oh yeah, I already was like, thankfully that person's not here.
Yes. No, but a lot of cool stuff, man. The good news is I don't think there's too many matchups that we would like to see that we won't see after the one shots and this wraps up. Also, think about with the one shots starting and the Godzilla Destroys being a 5-run series. I believe the Godzilla vs. Justice League 2 is a 6-issue series, both kicking off in June. Dude, we're going to have Godzilla crossovers literally from now to the end of the year, like the whole year.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like, you never thought we'd get that boom, rest of the year. I mean, no. if it's anything to get us through the rest of the year, right?
Yeah, we'll take it. We need a distraction. We'll just go leave it at that.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering, because obviously Godzilla versus Transformers, you'd have to work with both Hasbro and Image and whoever else. But I'd be kind of down for maybe Godzilla. Here's two ideas that would be completely outlandish, but I think they could work. Godzilla versus Image.
Okay, I'll give a caveat to that, but go ahead.
Like Godzilla fighting Spawn and Savage Dragon and Invincible. Witchblade and Darkness, those would all be cool.
Yes.
I think that would be a lot of fun. I would also say, and this one's going to be this will never happen, but Godzilla versus Disney.
Both would be cool. Yeah, we'll never get Godzilla versus Disney. It would have some fun things in there though. Maleficent springs to mind. Love to see Godzilla scaling the mountain from Fantasia. Would be great.
Godzilla fighting the Titans from Hercules.
Hercules, yeah. So back to your other point, I do think the Image one would be fun. I'd love to see Spawn and the Scorch and Invincible and Savage Dragon. Like you said, it is tough to get all of those guys to work together necessarily. Usually if there's an Image crossover, it takes place within say Savage Dragon, but it also seems like it's not connected to everything else. But I think I can give you one within Image, that's its own universe within Image, that would make a lot of sense. What about Godzilla takes on the Massiverse? With Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, they have mechs in there, Inferno Go Red, it'd be akin to Godzilla versus Tokusatsu.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, the Massiverse, Radiant Black, all them, that'd be great. I think, yeah, you could do that. I would say maybe you could do, because I think this could work too. Maybe Warner Brothers would do this with MonsterVerse Godzilla versus Cartoon Network with Dynamite.
Would be cool. And of course, the one you and I have been beating the drum for forever, legendary, please listen to us, MonsterVerse Godzilla, and you can do Kong 2, of course, Pacific Rim. It just screams to me.
You have to think that's on the table, right?
I would think. I get they probably didn't, if they're thinking about it, didn't want to announce it, knowing that the other DC one was coming, though, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It has to, right? After how well these Godzilla crossovers have been selling, you have to think, especially with Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, it's getting toys, for God's sake.
Yeah, I forgot. Really good ones, too, actually. My wife got me one for Christmas. But, I would think they have to be thinking that. I would say, in the fan base, behind Gamera and arguably Ultraman, Pacific Rim is probably the next most important crossover. It's definitely the top 3 in the fan base. I would say, for Godzilla.
Yeah, it's literally the final frontier. We've outside of Ninja Turtles. Hell, I'd even be down for Archie Comics to do Godzilla versus Archie. I mean, you did Godzilla. I mean, you've done Punisher versus Archie and Sharknado versus Archie. Godzilla versus Archie is not impossible.
Hey, we've already got so much on the table. Do you think Disney / 20th Century would be interested in Predator versus Godzilla?
I thought of that, and it could happen. I think that might be on the talking table. I know Ben Percy has talked about there is a Predator event coming soon, so a Predator versus Marvel event coming soon. So maybe that's what they talked. Maybe they talked about that. Maybe that could be the third. That could be the end of this Godzilla Marvel trilogy.
Like Godzilla versus Aliens versus Predator, just like a three-way dance type of deal. And I mean, you have to get sized up Predators and sized up Aliens, but it would be pretty cool. Or you could get, it would be really cool, xenomorphs infecting some of the Toho kaiju in the non-canon series, and then you get like a xenomorph version of, like Titanosaurus or whoever the hell ever. It'd be really cool. That'd be fun.
Yeah, imagine the Bandai Movie Monster sales on those toys.
I guess it'd be kind of like when IDW did Rulers of Earth. We got that a bit right, so.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. I think also the fact that like it's just anything is possible now, and everyone's gonna be everyone. I think Toho knows they have the cards.
I think so too. I'm super excited for it. We can speculate on and on. I am going to say I think I know we said it in multiple videos. TMNT's got to be in IDW's mind. Pacific Rim's got to be in Legendary's mind. And then Kaiju number 8, possibly for the manga Godzilla comics.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to be. If I don't think it's going to be in comic. I think it will be in, because you could say like, oh, they have IDW. Yeah, that stopped them. They didn't stop Marvel doing this comic without them.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So yeah, I think that the Kaiju number 8 will probably be manga.
Yeah, I think so too. But would you think those are the 3 highest chances of the next crossovers for Godzilla getting announced? Probably not until next year at this point, right? I mean, the slate's pretty full for this year.
Yeah, I think if not, like, I think we'll get an announcement later this year, not like Comic-Con. I'd be shocked if we did. But I think also you have to remember we're getting Marvel DC crossovers this year too.
Oh, right, that's true.
Yeah, so I think if anything we get more Godzilla crossovers. I'd be shocked if we got more this year, but I think 2026 or at least later this year they'll announce, hey, we're doing this for next year.
All right, I think so. One of those 3 I think is likely. The only one I could see still getting announced this year could be a follow-up to Monster Beast Theater, where you get more public domain characters from IDW.
Yeah, or a official Godzilla Pacific Rim crossover. I would say that's on the table for an announcement.
I could definitely see that. Kind of a secondary question. Since we got the DC Monsterverse toys, I know it's a little bit harder. Any chance we get some of the Marvel toys? Like if we do get a Venomized Godzilla figure or we get that in the comic versus Spider-Man, I think that would sell like crazy.
Absolutely, I think that will absolutely, especially if they make it an exclusive.
Oh yeah. It would. I mean, I would pay a hefty amount for that one, right? Just based on some of the art we've seen about it so far, like for variant covers and such.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it has to happen. Like a Venom Godzilla toy, they probably talked about that.
It's money waiting to be printed, right?
Yeah. So.
Right. Anything else you want for this point? Until we see more, I'm not sure. I definitely would like to review this with you.
Absolutely, man.
And we're hoping to do the rest of the one-shots when they come out, do the reviews for them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we're also going to be doing Black Panther versus Predator, if I'm right.
Comes out on Wednesday, trade, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I think Monster Beast Theater comes out soon too, which I'd love to review with you. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to those. It's just, on one hand, it's so cool to see all these crossovers. On the other hand, it says like it's red flags for how bad the comic industry is.
This is true. We know the comic industry has been on kind of life support for a while, which is kind of a shame. There are some really good comics out there, especially the big two's been doing better. They've been doing better, but in the indie realms, like we mentioned, anybody who's a Tokusatsu fan is not checking out the Massiverse is missing out on a ton, right? I mean, Massiverse, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, I think like if your name isn't Marvel, DC, they're doing better. Like they're
better, yes.
Yeah, they're doing much better. Image has been Image has been dominating sales.
Yeah, for sure. The Spawn run's been pretty good recently. Massiverse, like we said,
And all the indie projects too. Yeah. Let me just a sidebar. Do you think we could get like Universal Monster Image crossovers?
Yes. Yeah. We did before, like with Top Cow back in the day, right?
It was Top Cow and Dynamite. It wasn't technically the Universal Monsters. It was like the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was like the Impulse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The short answer is yes. For instance, man, like Spawn and Universal Monsters would make a lot of sense. We did get like, you and I still should at some point review that Philadelphia crossover with Spawn and Savage Dragon and Blackula and Dracula.
Yeah, I need to get back to. I've got the volumes 2 and 3. I need to read them, but every time I get close to, something bad happens in the news, and I just get bummed. So it just like, because I know that comic is so politically charged, I'm just like, next time.
Yeah, fair enough. I did think that was pretty good crossover, but yes, to answer your question, yes, I do think we could get a Universal Monsters crossover. McFarlane's got kind of a big ego, but I feel like the Universal Monsters would be like, they're up there in terms of name recognition, especially if he puts the Universal behind it. So I could see that being a thing. Also, he's pushing his movie, which may never likely come out, I'm thinking, but in his mind, he might think it helps the movie to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, as a sidebar, I do think that could happen. But still, seeing them cross over with Invincible or with Savage Dragon or Witchblade again would be really cool, actually. Any of those would work great.
Yeah, or just even, we need Spawn. Like, it could be, hell, we could have, like, there's Revival, there's Hackslash, there's...
Hackslash would be great. Hackslash versus the Universal Monsters, that's a winner right there, man, I think.
Yeah, although, I don't know where Hackslash is, because it goes wherever Tim Seeley goes, so I think they might be under IDW right now, but still, Hackslash versus Universal Monsters, Tim Seeley, if you're out there you go.
So on a side note, I did a little while ago put out a tweet to Tim Seeley and Damien Leone that, it'd be really cool to get Hackslash versus Terrifier. And Tim Seeley immediately responded, Damien, I'm in, just tell me what you want me to do story-wise. So I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that, and I was like, oh, that'd be so good.
Yeah, so I don't know that one of you else, I don't think Damien Leone responded, but Damien Leone, if you're listening to Mr. Multiverse, please give us Hackslash versus Terrifier. We're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, guys, so I think we're all wrapped up here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I know we went on for a while, but it's such an exciting time for Godzilla fans and comic fans, both, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you guys tell us in the comments below. What do you guys think of this Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe crossover? What fights are you hoping for? And yeah, Matt, thank you once again for coming on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me as always. I really appreciate it. It's always fun.
Yep. And other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.